Hello and good afternoon. Excuse me. A little bit of Diet Coke. I love Diet Coke. I believe Diet Coke. It's not sponsored by Diet Coke, but it could be. Diet Coke, if you're listening. Yeah, it's video 806, and just a couple things on my mind today, which probably may not be very popular, but this morning, and I'll put a link in the video, but CBS News had CBS Morning had a thing about transgender athletes that I think was pretty well done. But I guess I want to come back to it because as I watch the video, there's just some things that just kind of were like nails on a chalkboard to me. And I realize probably if you're watching the video here, you probably are already of a similar mindset than I am, but some food for thought. And why do I bring this up? Because at my workplace, and I made a video about it, I think 2 videos ago, there was a thing about trans athletes and is it fair? And if that doesn't clue you in where I'm going with this, the human body, not my body, okay, but the human body is just this fantastic machine. I mean, you just will not to mechanically do what we do physically is just, this is so efficient. Okay. Could definitely be improved, but anyway. But the problem that I see when this comes up, and you'll probably see this maybe on Fox News or whatnot, is the interviewer, and the guy did it this morning on CBS. He did do it eventually, but the personality or the interviewer or whatnot, from what I've seen, generally will not seek the advice of a professional. And by that, I mean someone who's into sports medicine or a biologist, someone perhaps with a doctorate degree in anatomy, human physiology, whatnot. Usually you just see some moron that they got off the street saying, yeah, guys are better than girls. Or in the case of what happened on CBS this morning, they asked someone who has an Olympic gold medal. And I just want you to imagine for the moment, if you are a good athlete in your sport and you have made somewhat of a name for yourself for your particular athletic sport, and in this case, a woman swimmer, and you make your money off maintaining how great of an athlete you were, whether it be speaking engagements or sport records. I mean, think about it. When you're an athlete and you perform your peak and then you retire, you still try to make money off of your fame. They were the best at the 500-meter freestyle, okay, or something like that. And so when I've seen on this, and CBS did it this morning, and the other article that at my work they did it, they got some gold medalist in women's endurance swimming to come out and basically badmouth trans women, as if that person has any sort of credibility or education. Not to say that they don't, but if you really want to make an educated thing, you go talk to a doctor, okay? When you have a problem with your car, you take it to a mechanic. You don't take your car to, I can't even think of something else. You go to the professional who knows what they're doing. And in the case of human physiology and anatomy, that's who you need to talk to. not someone who made a bunch of money for being very, very fast and they want to maintain their elitism, okay? They have a vested interest in maintaining that they were the best that ever was in a certain Olympic category or athletic competition. That's just not the way to go, okay? Unless you are like Fox News or someone who's already made up their mind and they're just looking for an expert who can comment and give you the background that you want, and you could say, see, we were right all along, blah, 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 blah. So, let's kind of get that off the bat. Now, the CBS this morning, very, very cool. They did speak to a physiologist eventually. And if you've already done your own research on this, you know that the difference, on average, between men and women in a particular sport is around 12%. If you look at, the fastest time in a certain thing or the most amount of something, it's about a 12% difference. And that's sort of the normal range, okay? And so the physiologists that have done these studies over a period of time, like you would in science, okay, experiment, hypothesis, I got that out of the order, hypothesis, experiment, theory, okay, this is what they found. And so again, like they said on CBS this morning, the trans woman, her time, guess how much it decreased by? 12%. As far as aerobic capacity, lung capacity, guess how much it changed by? 12%. Okay. The amount of muscle strength, okay, 12%. Okay. And in the case of the stuff they talked, I believe it was, and I'm going to say Leah Thomas, and I apologize if that's not her name, but the difference between her time on the men's team and on the women's team after a year of hormone replacement therapy is 12%. Okay. So a year after doing hormone replacement therapy, as per the NCAA guidelines, Leah is in the range of her fellow female athletes. And, if you get one of these kind of talking heads or whatnot, they'll say, well, yes, you can expect that, but there are just some things that men are just better at. They have longer reach. They have, they're taller, and kind of give some things that once you go through puberty, muscular skeletal differences, there's differences because of what happened. But the assumption is that is always a positive thing. And there's differences in someone who there's negative things that happen as far as recovery time. There's some things about the female body that are just naturally better at other things. Buoyancy is one of them. Okay, but it's not always a positive thing. Okay, to have the male post puberty situation. And the other problem is, and this maybe is where this is like the nail in the coffin for me, is there is genetic and mechanical variation in a population, okay? You can't say that all men are taller than women, can you? I mean, I can think of some pretty short guys. I can think of some very tall women, okay? Look at the WNBA, okay? If you're putting together a women's volleyball team, who do you want in the front row so they can spike the ball over the net? Your tallest players, okay? And I realize they rotate, but again, Why do we have tall basketball players? Same reason. Okay. So there's just biodiversity and variation. And so, again, the assumption that a assigned male at birth who goes through the initial part of puberty has a distinct advantage as the rule, number one, is a falsity. It's falsehood. It's not true. I'm 6 foot tall, or I was 6 foot tall. I've kind of shrunk as I've gotten older. But I'm overweight and fat. Do you think I have an advantage? No. So you can't make that kind of generalization. So I suppose what I'd like to see as the next step is for them to come up with some sort of laundry list, if you will. Well, what is it that you don't like? And in the case of the person this morning, will they have longer reach? Okay. So you're saying then that people who have a longer reach should not be allowed to play. And they'll say, well, no, that's not what I mean. Assigned biological males. Okay. But again, if you have that genetic variation, then the problem is not trans women. The problem is a fraction of the population that has longer arms, or maybe a fraction of the population that has a greater aerobic capacity. It's not male or female, and at that point, if you're not going to start to measure bones and whatever, you really can't use that as the argument. And I guess they didn't quite make that connection. They almost did. They said something about biodiversity, but they couldn't go back to that talking head and challenge them on that point, because you just can't, you know what I mean? And so they left it up as, well, we still have a long way to go yet in figuring this out. And that's how they ended the story. And to me, that is a problem. No, that is not how you end it. You say, because there's biodiversity and it's not trans women, then trans athletes should be allowed to play. Don't leave it on this how grad students end a paper. I've been a grad student myself. Well, we just need to do more research and study. No, bullshit. Fuck you. Fuck you. Be honest. Call it what it is. Call it discrimination. Call it bullying. And challenge the person. Don't let these people continue to sprout this crap. Call them for their bullshit. And I guess that's kind of where I want to end this, because I'm angry. But, and I've said this before, swap out trans with a race, black. If someone says, well, it's not fair to let trans women play because they have an advantage. Swap that out with black. It's not fair to allow black people to play because they have an advantage. And that's wrong. It's just as wrong to say that trans people can't do something. And the other thing that I think I will give CBS credit this morning was the person said that they interviewed, the trans man. They said, look, I just want to be me. And I don't know why people want to talk about my genitalia all the time. I just want to be me. I just want to be the person that I am. And I want to play sports, And in the bigger picture, this is about, I'm not necessarily worried. I mean, I am concerned about, the percentage of athletes that are good enough to play in competitive sports. I'm worried about the kids who don't speak up and the kids who are maybe in the closet and they're afraid because they can't play with their friends. They're being told they don't belong. They're being told they're the other. They're not acceptable. They're abnormal. And they should feel shame and disgrace because they're not right. They're not like the other kids. That's where this is. That, to me, that's where the rubber meets the road on this. And, you know, I wish someone would call. You know, I wish, and probably the trans gal in Texas, can't think of her name, sorry, apologize. I want to say Lacey, the little girl. She's like, stop picking on me. That's what she tells the Texas legislatures. Stop bullying me. Stop picking on me. It's not fair. She's calling it for what it is. And that's what I want to see happen here. I don't want to see, well, it's an issue for another time. We'll have to revisit it down the... No. No. Bullshit. Tell these assholes to stop being dickheads. And to stop bullying children. And more importantly, stop bullying me. Okay? Stop bullying my friends. So, I'll leave that on that. Like I said, you know, but maybe you have a different opinion. By all means, feel free to share it, but that's kind of my thought of the day. But good luck till next time. Hang in there, as the fight's not over yet. I mean, we've got a long way to go. And that is my new test for stuff. Swap out black. Swap out women. You know, 1960s and before. You had the Negro League, you had the Colored League, because they didn't want black people to play baseball. They said it wasn't fair. It would mess up the records that the white players had had. I mean, this thing is just a repeat of that. And before that, it was probably something else. It was probably women. Women shouldn't play, and women can't play sports. You know, their reproductive organs will fall. I mean, just bullshit. Call it for what it is. Call it discrimination. Call it hatred. Call it xenophobia, whatever you want. But don't accept it. And don't say, well, we just have to agree to disagree. No, bullshit. Give them both barrels. Say, fuck you. That's the way it is. Enjoy my Diet Coke. I wish you the best of luck. And the struggle goes on, man. The struggle goes on. Till next time. Bye-bye.